Women's Chamber of Commerce. So he's not able to jump in today, but on behalf of Chad and the Economic Alliance, we want to say thank you as well for being a part of that network and being a part of the industry here in this region. So we're gonna jump in. So I'm excited that we're coming back together. It's good to see you guys. We've been off for 2 months. If you guys are a first timer in the room, show me that this is your first time. So okay, we've got about 4 or 5 first timers in the room. If you're first time online to join us, just put first time so we can see. And we want to welcome you to be being a part of the Transformational Leadership Series, these live webinars and lunch and learns. So maybe you're back because you missed me. That's probably not it. Maybe you're back because you had nothing better to do. Maybe there was free lunch. Maybe you're back because of the topic and the conversation that we're going to talk about today, which is grit. It's one that we've been pressing into probably for about 2 years now. We're going to talk about this idea of grit, and some of you guys, women, may realize at the end of it, going, man, I've been living in grit for 2 years. I'm tired, right? Because grit takes a lot of energy, right? But it helps us to get through, and we're going to talk about that today. So I'm glad that you guys are here. We're going to press in and finish the year strong. I'm excited about the stuff we're doing between now and the end of the year, and I'm going to talk to you about that as well. So right from the beginning, I want to put in a invitation to next month, because we got a special jolly old person coming to join us next month, bearing gifts as long as his schedule works out. I've sent some emails and some texts, and he has said that he's available. So next month, if you show up in person, we're going to have a special guest, and that special guest is going to come be bearing gifts for everyone who shows up in person. So all of you online, if you want to see this jolly old friend of ours next month, we'd love to have you and sign up for that as well. Thank you for investing in yourself. That's the other thing. You're being here, taking the time to be here. It's an investment in your own personal growth, your business, your company, the relationships that you're in. And our desire, the reason we started this last year, was to add value to you. This isn't a sales technique to get you into something else, although there are things I will invite you to engage in. But the primary goal is to make sure you have some solid takeaways every time we gather that you can apply immediately into your life. I've got somebody checking in. Are we good online? Is everything working okay? Okay, I'm looking at my team. Want to make sure we're good. If you've got questions, we've got an online team that's going to be chatting with you and communicating with you and dropping some things in there if you need it. So for those guys, you guys that are new, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Rick Torsen. I have a company I started a few years ago called Right Now Leadership. Where is the clicker? This is not good. Oh, hang on. Yeah, this is as good as it gets, you guys. This is me, right? This is the real deal. So let's go through this and push through. So first of all, my name is Rick Torsen. I started a leadership company called Right Now Leadership about 4 or 5 years ago. I've been in the leadership coaching and development business for about 25 years. Also as a pastor and ministry leader, a teacher, and a coach. What I'm most proud of is being married for 30 years. I've got 2 amazing adopted children from birth, and one is 26, the other's 23. And we're enjoying kind of an empty nest. My son's back with us for a little bit, but the boot is coming, so we're working on that. We love that he's there for a little while as he makes some adjustments in his life, but we are enjoying where we are in our lives. We just moved back into Pasadena to where we started 30 years ago. My wife's been here her whole life, but when I came down here chasing a girl to Texas, which I caught, we've been married 30 years, and we're back into Pasadena, and I love being back where it all started. My passion is to add value to people, is to serve people, to help grow you, to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. Whether it's your personal life, your business, a career goal, an objective that you got. I love helping people through those aha moments where the revelation, the light comes, they get it. And once we get it, everything changes. When you get it, when it clicks, we're able to make change and movement and see transformation possible. So I want to talk to you a little bit today. We're going to talk about grit. So this first slide, I want to start with this idea of the end in mind. So I've given you the plug for December. I'm going to offer you 2 opportunities in December, the last Transformational Leadership Series, which will be December 14th. You'll get that registration link. But December 6th, I'm offering something I've never done in a group setting before. And this is a opportunity for you guys to go through what I call the success wheel. The The success wheel is actually an assessment of 5 core elements of your life, core competencies of your life, from personal to business. And what it does, it allows you to take that personal assessment to walk through where you are and vision about where you want to be. And then we strategize how to help you get there. It's a great way to end the year, and we're going to be offering that as well. I'll be sharing that with you as we move through and finish up today. So the idea is, how do we finish strong in 2021 that we can start stronger in 2022? And we're going to do that by talking about grit. Let me read this. I think this is a great slide, so let me make sure I read this as we get started. Regardless of what came before or of what has yet to come, what matters most right now is how I choose to respond to the challenge before me. Will I lie down or will I fight? The choice is mine, and I choose to finish strong. Wherever you are in your life, whatever you've done, wherever you're trying to get to, whatever's going on, we have been presented with more challenges in the last 2 years than we've probably ever experienced in totality of our lives. And we've had a choice with every challenge. How are we going to respond? And if we're honest, we'll talk about this today. There's been times where we've probably all said, I'm done. And we wanted to wave that towel and toss it in and say, check back in with me a year from now. But here's what I'd say. You guys, because you're here, I know that's not what you did. And you chose to press. You chose to engage. You chose to, as we talk about, have grit. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit more today. I want to take a look at this slide, this cartoon, and ask a question. How does this cartoon speak to grit? What it says in the slide, I'm successful in business because I am lucky. But I didn't get lucky until I started working 90 hours a week. Now, I don't know how many of you are working 90 hours a week. And if you are, you need to see me after this. We need to have a conversation about that. But I'm sure you could say 50, you could say 60. You might even push at some points beyond that a little bit. And the question is that what grit's all about? Is it just working harder? Is it just gritting your teeth and pulling up your shorts and just I'm going after this, no matter what the cost? Is that grit? We're going to talk about that. And I'm going to ask some questions, because I love to start with questions. What does a gritty person look like? Right? Because that's really what we're asking. And do I have it? Is it something that I'm born with? Can anyone be gritty? Is there a grit gene? That some people are born with a grit gene and some people aren't. How many of you guys think there's a grit gene? All right, you guys online? So yeah, we look at some people and say, man, they just seem to have something about them that drives them, that pushes them. They never seem to quit or give up. They're just always, and maybe that's some of you in the room. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. Let me ask you guys this, and you guys can share in the chat. Do you know anyone that you would describe as a gritty person? Think about that person. Anybody? Can you think of, maybe it's you. Is there someone you go, I would call them gritty? Do you all have somebody in mind? You guys online? And you can post this in the chat. Let me ask you a question. Why? Why do you call them gritty? And this is where you get to play. We will participate online. You can post in there. Why did you think of them as gritty? What was a characteristic that you said that person has grit? Help me out. Yes, ma'am. Perseverance. Okay. Yep.
Mine's my mother. She had a horrific childhood and it didn't hold her back. She never used that as an excuse.
Okay, so no excuses. Whatever came, they went through. They just kept going. Right? What else? I saw some others. Just drive. What is drive? Just that idea you just keep.
Well, the person I'm thinking of had several different careers, and he's still in his 30s to early 40s. But I mean, he's been a restaurant owner. He's got a digital marketing company. He's established an ESL school. I mean, he's very much an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, right, if you will. But I mean, he's always driven, engaged. There's always something, a vision in front of him that he's pursuing. And
right?
I would say also that really goes to his desire to learn as well.
Okay.
Driven to learn.
We're going to talk about that a little bit today as well, that idea to be a learner, right? Always learning. And somebody else. Does somebody else have yep?
I mean, I have a friend, he's like MacGyver. Everything that he gets up against, I mean, he can figure out a way or make something to get through
So no matter the challenge, he comes up with a solution. He finds a way through that situation. That is how you would describe grit, right? Angela Duckworth would say this, that those who seem destined to succeed and those that plow through challenges have grit. When we look and they're just gonna succeed. We know they're gonna make it. We just have that intuition by being around them that no matter what comes, they're gonna be on the other side. They plow through challenges. She says those people she talks about as having grit. But let's keep pressing in. Are some people grittier than others? What do you guys think? You think some people have more grit than others? Okay, we're going to talk about that. Why is it that some people seem to be destined to succeed with whatever they do, and then there's others who are prone to underachievement and failure? Right? I mean, their genes, they're wired that way. Maybe it's just they can't help themselves. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Because if that's true, then this conversation about grit is pointless. Because either you have it or you don't. You're either born with it or you don't have it. If you don't have it, hey, sorry. Good luck making it through all the challenges. So I'm of the camp that says maybe there is something about how we're wired that some people present more gritty. But I don't know if grit is something that you're born with or something you choose. And we're gonna talk about that. Because how is it that some people can plow through the challenges of life while for others those same barriers seem insurmountable, right? We all know people like that. We may have been someone like that in our journey. So the question I'm asking is, are some people grittier than others? Do some people have that grit gene? And if so, how do I get it? And we're going to talk about that. Here's the other thought. Is grit contagious? Right? If it is, I want to rub up against gritty people. I might think, just as I'm going through this, I think maybe grit may be contagious. And if I find a gritty person, you may just want to find a way to get up close to that person because maybe we need some of that help to rub off in our lives, right? Now, I think of all of us believe that everyone can overcome challenges in life. I think we would all say, I think everyone has the ability, can overcome the challenges in their life, right? That's inherent. I believe that's possible, but the reality is not everyone does. And so the question becomes, why do some overcome the challenges and some get overcome by the challenges? Why? I think before we can answer that, we need to take a better look and understanding of what grit is. Okay, and I want to do that with you guys for a minute. If I'm honest, I don't know if people's success in battling through the things that come in their life has as much to do with a grit as it does to do with a mindset or belief. So I'm challenging my own presupposition in this whole thing about grit. And then I'm wondering if our ability to get through isn't so much about grit, but our mindset, our belief system that we tell ourselves, either outwardly or inwardly, that we engage. Is that more what grit is? Is that where grit comes from? Maybe that's where grit comes in. Because I believe this, as I've studied this and I've pressed through in things in my own life, that grit has to have something to attach itself to. There's no need to have grit if there isn't a reason to be gritty. Do you understand? I mean, if we don't have something to be gritty about, then why would we be gritty? If there's not an objective at the end of our grit that we can see, why would I go through the challenges and the obstacles that are in front of me? So maybe it's both. Maybe grit is a choice. What do you think? Do you think that part of grit is a choice? Would you agree that we can choose to be gritty? What about you guys online? Do you think grit is a choice? Is that all it is? Some people just choose to have grit and some don't. So in other words, some choose to press through and some just choose to quit because they like to quit, because they want to fail, because they don't want to succeed. Well, wait a minute. I don't know too many people that would say that out loud that want that. So why do some people choose grit and some people don't? Or maybe they're all choosing grit, but some act. Do you understand? This idea of grit is a little deeper than just grab a root and growl. A friend of mine used to say when I was doing youth ministry, Tracy, we would be working crazy. And he said every chance, his statement was this: you just got to sometimes grab a root and growl. Only Texas would understand that, right? You're getting roots out of the yard. You just grab that root and I'm going to get that thing out no matter what it takes. And that would be grit. My experience has shown me that those who quit or give up typically have this unspoken belief that they have adopted over their lives. I do a lot of coaching. When I was in ministry, I did a lot of counseling. And I work with a lot of individuals and families and people. And I still work with a lot of organizations and companies. And what I've discovered is I've gone through that coaching and we press in to why they haven't achieved the objective they want to, whether it's a company or an individual. Somewhere along the line, they've adopted a limiting belief that says that they can't. They didn't know it. They didn't recognize it. They couldn't tell you when it came on. But somewhere as we dig and we press in, we find that they've adopted a thought process that says, I don't think I can do this. And it's become so normal in their thought process that they call it normal. They don't even recognize they've adopted that. And I think if you guys took some time to think about your journey, you would discover those same things in your life. That there are areas where you've just struggled and you say, why can't I just get past this? And it's not every area of my life. I am really successful here. But man, in this area, I just seem to keep hitting a wall. Well, if you and I were coaching and I walked you through that, what we would probably discover in that area, somewhere in your life, you believed a lie that said you can't, you won't, you never will. It doesn't mean it's everywhere in your life, but in that one area. And until we identify that, it doesn't matter how much grit we have because our mindset and our belief says it's not going to matter anyways. Is this making sense? Are you guys tracking with me so far? So a lot of times we'll put blame on others, right? We'll say, this is why I don't make it. This is why I can't. Sometimes it may be a crazy boss. Now, there wouldn't be any crazy bosses in here. It's my crazy boss. Or other times it may be that dysfunctional company that I used to work for. That's why I couldn't and I didn't and I never. And we give away our strength. We give away our authority. We give away our ability to achieve what we desire. And we give it away to something or someone else. When all along we had the ability within us to press through and to go higher. So the bottom line is there are those who don't believe they're capable of breaking through. We become like Eeyore. You guys remember Eeyore? Oh, bother. Right? The pessimist, the never good enough. Glass is always half empty. Right? It's just they live in that place where life is always a challenge and a chore. And is it ever going to end? And this again? That very mindset, that very statement, that very belief activates in us our subconscious to then live out that statement. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more, but we all have a subconscious, which is 98% of all of our decisions, choices, and actions in our lives is this subconscious. And subconscious doesn't know right or wrong, truth, lies. It just knows what your body, what your mind tells it. So when we say, I can't, your subconscious goes, okay, hey, the boss said he can't, so let's make sure he can't. I know it sounds crazy, but that's what happens. Or when we say, I can, and I will, and I'm going to, the subconscious says, hey, boss said he can. Let's go. Let's get it done. That's happening every day by the words we speak and the thoughts that we have. And I'll unpack that a little bit more as we go through. Grit is only powerful when it's attached to an outcome. When you can see the light at the end of the tunnel and the light is not an oncoming train, but it's actually a future and a hope. Grit has to be attached to an objective, to something, a vision, a destination, a desire, a goal. Because if it doesn't have it, then why would you have grit in the first place? What's the point of going through if you're not going to something greater than where you are? Right? Making sense? You with me? So let's talk about this a little bit. What is grit? In the last year, let me ask you guys a question. You guys online, stay with me. What is grit? How many of you have said, I can't do this anymore? In the last 2 years, just inside maybe, externally, you might have said to someone, I just can't do this anymore. It's okay, because you're here. We know that you didn't live there. How about you said, I'm done. I'm just done. Right? Not one more thing. I just can't take one more thing. How about, when is this going to end? When does this whatever the situation is, how many of you have been there in the last 6 months? How many of you have been there in the last 6 weeks? 6 days? 6 hours? 6 minutes ago? Okay, guys, I don't know about you online, but some in the room are going, how about right now? I'm saying about this presentation. When is this going to be done? All right. Oh, no, don't wait your hand into that. Take your name out of the drawing. That's it. But if we're honest, we all have, right? The reality is we've all been there. But here's what I want you to hear. And you guys online, you're here. You're still here. You're still going. You're still standing. Well done. Well done. Celebrate yourself. Celebrate that you got up today. Celebrate that you overcame. Celebrate that you're still walking this out. That you're still investing in yourself by taking your hour and being here in this. Celebrate that. That's saying, I am going to overcome. I am getting better. I am growing. I am building. I am leading. I am living through. Too many of us have the mindset and the attitude that we're going to go to something. I'm going to go to this situation. It's the wrong mindset. We never go to something. We always go through it, because the only way to go up is to go through. You can't go around. You can't go under. You can't go over. There's no avoiding COVID. It's here. Whatever that looks like, whatever it's going to be, we have no control over that. So you can try to go under it or over it or around it or ignore it. Good luck. So what do? We go through, not to. To means we stay in it. Through means we're going to pass right through. And the only way you go up is to go through. So why didn't you quit? Let me just ask you guys. So you're here. Why are you here? Why haven't you quit? What was your motivation? Somebody, you guys online, put your motivation. What was that driver that said, no matter what, I'm going to keep going? What drove you? You guys share in the room. What drove you? What's kept you moving when you said you just don't want anymore?
At what level are we talking?
Any level. Any level. Just what's kept you going. It could be deep, it could be shallow, but what's kept you going?
I always have to have hope.
Okay, hope. But hope has to be tied to something. Hope that something's going to get worse? No, because you could hope that. Hope that something will be better, right? So there's an inherent hope that some people just have. This can't be as good as it gets. It has to be better. And so that keeps driving me. What else?
Survival.
Survival. Say someone? Life? Grandkids. Family. Motivation. Right. Our family. My kids. My grandkids. My health. I still have things I want to do. Places I want to go.
I have a job I really love, and that has helped me. I think otherwise I would have been tempted to say, it's time to retire again.
Yeah. So motivation is something you love to do, a passion. Remember that word passion. We're going to talk about it. Right? These things are motivations. You have to have a motivation. You have to have something, an objective that is driving you. I don't care what it is, but without it, despair comes in the place of hope. And when you listen to the news, the politics, the government, the opinions, and I'm not going to get into all that, but if you tune into the noise of the world, you will be like the world. And if I was going to define what the world looks like, I would say chaos, confusion, deception, lostness, control. I mean, there's so many words we could use to describe the world. You will either be of the world, and you will be just like that. You will feel that, and you will find your tribe of rage, the tribe of community that voices your anger or anguish or joy or whatever. You'll find that tribe, and you'll voice it with them, and you'll look just like the world. But I think there's something greater than looking like the world, because the world I look at, although I live in it, I'm not very excited about what I'm seeing. But I'm excited about the people I'm seeing. I'm excited about seeing you, that you're here, that you care, that you're leading teams, that you're in an organization where you are investing in yourself that's going to pay off in the teams that you work with and the people that you work with. I'm excited about individuals, people, their resilience, their grit, their compassion, their love, regardless of the noise. And if I keep my eyes there on each of you, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But when I take my eyes off of you and I look at the noise and begin to listen to that, it's like quicksand. It's like I could feel my whole body just get weighed down. Anybody been there? And so I stop. I listen just enough to understand and be educated, but not enough to get sucked in and get overwhelmed. So let's talk about this idea of grit. Angela Duckworth. Now here's her definition. Okay. According to Angela, she says in her book, and I'm going to give a couple of them away here in a minute, grit is a personal trait that involves perseverance and passion. Those are the two ways she describes it. She goes on to define perseverance or persistence as the ability to overcome setbacks, put in the hard work, and finish things you've started. Don't quit attitude. You're going to finish what you start. And then she defines passion is the consistency of goals held over long periods of time. It's not intensity and enthusiasm. That's not grit to her, that you hold on to for a moment. It is the endurance over time. It's that intensity, enthusiasm that you can sustain over time. That's grit. Grit isn't a moment of pressing in. Grit is the ability through persistence and passion to press in. We don't give up easily on those things that we're passionate about, do we? Think about stuff you're passionate about. You don't let go of those things that easily. That passion drives you. So stuff you were just saying, my grandkids, my job, my family, my health, I want to travel the world. I want to go do this. Those are passions that drive you and you keep hanging on to them. Angela believes this, that perseverance and passion are better indicators of future earnings and happiness than IQ and talent. And so this whole book, as you read it, is about research. It isn't about opinions. She did research and studies and over, hundreds and hundreds of people that she did. We're going to take this grit survey in just a few minutes. And she did this study. So this is fact-based, statistic-based information, not what she thinks from the opinions of a few people. Here's her personal, let me give you a personal observation from me about this really quickly. I don't think grit's about a feeling. Truth is, I don't feel like having grit often. If grit was a feeling, I probably wouldn't make it. Because my feelings change and my feelings drive a lot of different things. My feelings are real, but they're not always based on a truth. You guys catch that? Feelings are real. Never deny your feelings. Acknowledge your feelings, but make sure that feeling, that emotion that's coming is founded in a truth, not a lie or something that you think might happen that hasn't yet.
Feelings aren't always facts.
That's right. Very good. Feelings are not always facts. It's exactly right. But feelings are the most powerful emotion we have, and they drive behavior over intellect. You may know what's right, and you may feel something else, and you have to choose. If you aren't careful, if you aren't disciplined, you will choose to respond on the feeling, not the fact. And if you're honest, we've all been there. We've all found ourselves responding to the feeling, not the fact. Grit helps us to grab the truth and live in that truth when our feelings are screaming something else. And I don't know about you, but every time I've followed my feelings, the ones that aren't good, I don't end up in places I like. And I usually hurt somebody else along the way. Just saying. So I think this is in your notes, okay? Grit is about showing up. A never quit attitude. Those are the blanks. Grit is less about ability and more about the personal attitude. And I want you guys to catch this last part. Grit is also about the people you surround yourself with. Don't underestimate the people you surround yourself with and their influence on success. Remember when I talked about grit is contagious? I don't know if it was Zig Ziglar or somebody said we become like the 5 people we spend our most time around. If you think about those people, what's their attitude, their mindset? How do they go through hard things? If those people are your core influencers in your life, you are going to reflect how they go through. So some of us may need to change if we're going to truly be gritty and get to where we desire to go. We may need to change some of our relationships, our environments. Don't underestimate the power of the people you surround yourself with when it comes to grit. Okay, so I've learned this. It's hard to be gritty alone, right? And that's that statement about the people that you surround yourself with. I need to be around other gritty people. What about you? Do you like being around gritty people, people that are hardworking, that are focused, that are driven? They may wear you out a little bit, but man, I like to attach my wagon to some of those people because when I don't feel like it, I'm okay. Drag me into it. I'm coming. I may be behind you, right? But I'm coming. You know, there's those dogs that drive the sled, and then there's those people that sit on the sled because they just can't drive anymore. And every one of us is going to be in one of those places at some point. But the people around you are going to determine how far you go in so many ways. Someone read the quote for me. Someone in the room, you guys online, you can see it. Somebody read that out loud for me. I don't care anybody. Okay, not everybody at once.
Pretty people have a growth mindset. When bad things happen, they don't give up.
Gritty people have a growth mindset. What stands out for you in that statement? What's when you read that, what jumps out at you? Anything?
They don't give up.
They don't give up, but why don't they give up? And somebody says for growth mindset. What does a growth mindset mean? You guys online, type that in the chat. When you think about a growth mindset, what does that mean to have a growth mindset?
Never stop learning, I would think.
Okay.
Never stop.
Don't stop learning. Somebody said something about learning. I don't remember when I asked that question earlier, right? A growth mindset. Why would a growth mindset be important to grit? Help me.
Things change.
Okay.
Learn a new way.
Okay. Things change, and so we have to learn, adapt, adjust.
So when bad things happen, that's a learning opportunity.
When bad things happen, it can be a learning opportunity.
You learn either way. You learn, don't do that again, or you learn it's okay.
But I think there's another choice: you don't learn at all. And that's where many of us find ourselves. You're right, Amanda. That's what we hope. You know, it's this, but it's not those. Some of us, we just don't look at it. We just want to get through it. Let me just get it in the past. The problem is when we rush through the pain and the brokenness and the challenge, and we don't learn, we don't understand, we don't take it to our advantage, we repeat it. It shows up again and again and again until we learn our lesson, until we learn the decisions and choices and situations we put ourselves in that created the opportunity for that thing to happen. There are some things we can't control, some circumstances, some environments, some things we don't have the ability to deal with. But there's so much more that we can control, and we forget that. Grit is about understanding what you can control, and that's you, your mindset, your attitude, your relationships, your circumstance. You can change them. Well, no, I can't. What would I know it doesn't feel like you can, but you can. And that's the first step. I can change this. Now, what does it look like to change it? That's where coaching comes in. So a lot of what I do with people is getting them to change the mindset, to have the courage to say, I can do this, but now the question, I don't know how. Okay, it's all right. Believe you can. We'll figure out the how. Because there's greatness inside of you. Every answer you need for every problem is already in you. We just have to awaken it. And sometimes we need help. When I think of a growth mindset, we always are looking to learn in every situation. We see obstacles as opportunities. We don't waste our mistakes or our failures. And we are very rarely going to repeat our mistakes. We learn and grow through them. See, we see everything in life as an opportunity to learn, to grow. Don't just, and this is a cliche, and you may have heard it, but I think it's so true, and I hang on to it. Don't just go through, grow through. But you got to decide before you go through that you're going to grow through. You have to have a mindset that says, you know what? When things come, I'm going to grow through them. And I'm going to be strong. Don't waste a hardship. Don't waste a loss. Don't waste a mistake. Don't waste it. Learn from it. Acknowledge it. Accept it that this happened. Now, what do I do? See, the things in life that happen to us don't define us. What does? How you go through the things in life define you. We all have trials, and every one of you could stand up here and tell me a story of the last 18 to 20 months about your life, your family, things that have happened, unexpected, loss. Every one of you have a story that could break our hearts. The stories don't define you. How you respond to them define you. That's grit. It's a choice. And here's the reality. You can choose to respond negatively or positively. You're in control. You get to decide. Don't give that strength away to other people. Truth is that this mindset is not natural for most of us. It goes back to ER. Most of us default Our natural tendency when things happen or we think that something's going to happen, we go to the worst case. It's just in our nature. We don't typically go, man, I see this going on, and we go, oh, I can see this amazing outcome. No, we go, oh my God, it's gonna, and it could, and then if that, and then before you know it, you're standing over here in the what ifs of this situation as if it's already happened. Your anxiety level is up. You're having a panic attack, wondering why you can't breathe, and your chest is collapsing because you've never had one before, and your wife is sitting next to you laughing, going, I know what that is. I'm going, what? I'm dying. She goes, no, you're not. You're having a panic attack. I said, no, I'm not. I don't have panic attacks. I have it under control. I pray. I love Jesus. I mean, this is why he's gonna, I don't stress about this. And she goes, oh no, you're having a panic attack. And I realized I was at my capacity and I was chasing thoughts to this end extreme that hadn't happened yet. But remember our subconscious? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I wish I had time to just dig on that with you guys and really help you understand that. When I play that thought out, my subconscious starts activating to make it happen. Because it doesn't know good or bad or right or wrong. It goes with the emotion, the feeling, the thought, and the declaration, and it activates on it. And if I don't reel it back and paint this picture, I'm going to end up in that place. So it's a whole nother conversation. Okay, so here's what I know to be true, and we're going to take the test here in just a second. This is what I know to be true. I've coached hundreds of people over the years. I've worked with leaders. I've worked with entrepreneurs, managers, business owners, moms, dads, youth, you name it. I'm confident in this that I can say this 100% certainty, that every person without fail, when I went through the process with them, discovered that they were stronger than they initially thought. 100% of the time, when we got done, they realized I didn't know I had it in me. I didn't realize I was strong enough to. 100% of the time. For those that were willing to go through, self-examine, and dig in, they realized they were so much stronger. So I'm going to challenge you with something. I want us to do something that I do with people that I coach with. And the challenge is this. It's getting from believing something to be living it. The way you believe it to be live it is you declare it to be so before it is. Just give me a nod. Are you guys tracking with me? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do an exercise. You guys online, I want you to do this, okay? So we'll be watching. You're going to need to post this. I want you to make a declaration out loud. Yeah, it's going to feel uncomfortable, a little weird. This is where you're going, how much longer is this going to last? I hope this is over soon. Why am I asking you to do this, to declare this statement out loud with me? Because I believe this, and a good friend of mine has said this to me over and over. We are committed to what we confess. Mm-hmm. I can think things all day long and you guys don't know it, and you'll never know if I succeed or fail. It's inside, and but when I say it, when I declare something, good or bad, I'm committed to that. Energy is released around that. Things begin to move because I said it. People hear it, and they come back and ask me, hey, you had said this, how's that going? Right? There's accountability to the things I declare in my life. So here's what I want you guys to do. Here's the declaration that I want you to make. It's on the screen. I am stronger than I think I am. I don't care how strong you think you are. There is more inside of you that you're going to need at some point in your life. And if you don't believe it's there, that some point is going to overwhelm you instead of you overwhelming it. So I want you to declare this in the room, online. I don't care where you're at, in your office, your team's around you. I want you to declare it out loud, and I want you to put it in the chat. That's how we know you did it. Okay? Melinda Torreson, president of Meta Staffing, is watching you, along with Maricela from the Economic Alliance. I'm just saying, you don't want them on your bad side. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1, and we're going to declare out loud, I am stronger than I think I am. Okay? Y'all with me? Okay. 3, 2, 1. I am stronger than I think I am. Yeah, that's pretty weak. Do you believe it? Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. I am stronger than I think I am. See, I believe this is the beginning of transformation. You don't just say it once and it's done. You need to get up saying it. I go through a 5-day blank page process that I'm in right now. I've done it every 2 months this year. And the idea of the blank page is this, that your past was never meant to define your future. Inform it, refine it, but not define it. In other words, the next hour, the next day, the next month hasn't happened. It's a blank page in your story. And you're either going to allow the world to write the story, or you're going to pick up the pen and write it. You're either going to be a subject in the story that someone else is dictating, or you're going to be the star. How do you be the star of your story? You pick up your pen and start writing. Because it hasn't happened. When you leave here, whatever's going to happen the next, it hasn't happened. You may not control the circumstances or environment, but you sure get to control how you're going to go through it. And that's so much more important than you think it is. And when you say, I am stronger than I think I am, that when things come, you remind yourself, your body activates the, no, I got this. I don't like it. It hurts. It's not easy. It's costly, but I got this. So, James Allen wrote an amazing short book, and I'm taking every Monday morning, I do a jump start at 7:30 in the morning for 30 minutes. It's Facebook Live. And we're walking through this book called As a Man Think. James Allen was in the 1800s. He wrote about 19 books, died at a very young age. Not very many people know him, but he's the one who proposed that as you think, so you are. And he wrote an amazing, short, small book. Let me see. I've got it right here. As a Man Thinks. This is how big it is. I read it every day. I don't read the whole thing. I read until something hits me. I sit there and I contemplate it. And it's called As a Man Thinks. There is a link that you can get a free download. If you're on Instagram, and I'll put it in the stuff, you'll get it in the follow-up email. You can go to Instagram, and there's a link on my Instagram that takes you to a page that says you can download this for free. I will put that link in the chat. I think our people may have that, but in the follow-up email that you'll get, there'll be a link to where you can download that book. It is a classic, and it is strength. It's life, because it speaks truth about our thoughts. Okay? So, time-wise, we're going to press through this. I'm not going to spend the time on this, but I have some copies. What do the following people have in common? I've got pictures here of Henry Ford, Walt Disney, Albert Einstein, Steven Spielberg, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, J.K. Rowling. They all have something in common. Do you know what it is? Anybody want to take a guess?
A dream.
A dream, a vision,
They were
a
all
passion,
told they would fail.
success. What?
They all were told they would fail.
They weren't only told they would fail. Every one of them failed miserably. Henry Ford, right? He invented the assembly line, all this stuff. He tried out other types of businesses and failed miserably. In fact, he'd gone bankrupt 5 times before he ever amounted to anything. Walt Disney was rejected. He was told he wasn't funny, that his cartoons weren't funny by this newspaper that he later purchased. Right? Albert Einstein couldn't read until he was 7. His parents thought he was mentally handicapped. He was expelled from school. Steven Spielberg, right? Rejected from Southern California theater, film and television a total of 3 times. Bill Gates, right? We know what he did. His first epic failure, he and Paul Allen created this device called the trafodata. Trafodata. Of course, it's not going to make it. What's a trafodata? It was a device that they created, right, that was going to read traffic data and interpret it. It fell miserably to the ground when they tried to launch it. Richard Branson, right? He went through, it said he performed very poorly in class, in school. He failed his exams. He dropped out of school, was considered he would never be successful. He had no drive and no motivation. Okay? J.K. Rowling, she's another one. She was divorced, poor, depressed, taking care of a child. When she first brought her manuscript, which was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, it was rejected 12 different times. Now you can't turn the TV on without watching it somewhere on some channel all the time. And then I'm not going to go into this, but I'm going to give this book away. And I would tell you, if you don't know who Jamie Kern Lima is, the It Girl, It Cosmetics, you need to read this book and learn her story. You talk about grit. She is an amazing woman who persevered through so many objections she lost count, building the #1 beauty and makeup business industry over everyone else in the world out of her living room. And she was told no over and over. I'm going to give this book away to you guys before we're done. All right, we're gonna press through. Here's what we need to do. I don't have time to get into this, and I want you guys to do the grit thing. So in your stuff, you've got a grit inventory. Okay? So I'm gonna skip through a couple things in the notes, and I want to find out how gritty are you. So what role does talent play in grit? I'm gonna tell you this, talent doesn't play any role in grit. Talent doesn't make you gritty. You can be the most talented person in the world and still not succeed. Right? Talent and grit are not equal. But the question I want to ask you is, how gritty are you? So you got this grit scale. Everybody should have it. You're only going to get 3 minutes to do this. It's first thought, and you answer them, and then I'm going to walk you through how to score it, and we're going to find out what kind of grit you got. All right? Where are you? This Angela Duckworth created this. It's been given out to millions of people. She uses it in her book. She talks through it, and I want you to test and see what kind of grit you have. So here's what you do. Go through each one, read the statement, and pick which of those is most like you, and check it. That's all you got to do. Which one is most like your answer? How will you respond to it? There's 10 questions. You got less than 3 minutes. Ready, go. In the room, when you're done, just look at me so I can get an idea when you're done. Some of you may have done it earlier, which is great. Those teacher pets, they downloaded it and did it this morning. Those are my favorite when I taught school. When you're done, if you want to go ahead and start scoring it, you can. I'll also walk you through that. You've got the grit score, the scale on the other side. You start with odd and then start with even. And take your time to get through it.
And being a male, I didn't read the instructions first, so I just scored it all the same.
Yeah.
I got 3 scores.
Yeah, I am 1,000% great.
Yeah.
How do you score it? I don't know. They go tell.
Okay, about 40 seconds. I'm not done. It's first thought. No right or wrong. Just answer honestly. Okay. So scoring. Look at the odd ones first. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Look at which answer you chose, and then look at the points that go with that answer and put it on the line. So in other words, if I pick very much like me for number 1, I look to number 1, that's worth 1 point. Or if I pick not like me at all, that's 5 points. And I put it in that blank line to the right. Do the odd first. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. That's the first scoring question. Let me know if you have a question. And I'll help you walk through it. Once you do the odd, then you'll go back to the even in the same way. What is your answer? How many points are valued to that answer? Put it in the blank line. Then when you're done, total of all the points, that's your total my score column. Divide it by 10, that's your grit score. So total all the points in one total. Remember, she said grit is about passion and perseverance. Questions 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Total those up. So the odd, just total the odd and put that in that next blank. What was the total of the, I see some of you looking at me going, okay, hang on, slow down. What are we doing? And I'll walk through this with you later if you need me. The first blank is your my score column. That's the total of all of the blanks. The second one is just the total of the odd numbers. And the third one is the total of the even numbers. That's your perseverance score. You divide the first one by 10, the next two by 5. I taught math, so when I was teaching Pasadena High School. Those of you guys, educator at Pasadena High School, Clear Creek, ISD, 30 years ago. I started teaching when I was 5, so that's all right. Okay, how are we doing?
adopted those children about the same time, too, right?
Yeah. Got married, adopted about 7 years old. Yeah, I was just, yeah. That's why my kids are so.
Prodigy.
That's why my kids are so dysfunctional. I was 8 when we adopted me. All right. I know we did this quickly, and I'll sit with you, or I can help you if you have questions. You guys online, you can take some more time. But I wanted to at least get this into your hands and allow you to get an idea of what your grit score is. Your score down at the left, in all of the thousands of people that have gone through this, that she's tested at schools and in all kinds of occupations and businesses, whatever your score is, the percentile is where you fall in the population, right? So if you're a 3.5, that's 40% of the population have a grit of 3.5 out of 100%, 99% gritty. This isn't good or bad. It's not saying you win or you lose. It's just helping you understand a little bit about where grit is naturally in you, and then where your passion and your perseverance lie. What I want you to know as we go through this, as we finish up, and I want to give you a couple practical things that can help you, because the goal is, how do I build grit? Wherever you are, whatever that number is, you can build grit. Okay? And so I want to talk about that. Angela talks about building grit in 2 ways. Okay? It's internal and external. You build grit internally by developing your passion. How do you develop your passion? What she says is you need to experiment with different things. Step out of your comfort zone and try new things until you discover those things that you're most passionate about. And you'll discover things you're not. That's good too, because you'll know. If you know what you're passionate about, you're more likely to cope with the challenges that come. The less you know about your passions, the less likely you are to handle the challenges. Because when you reach in to grab something to go through the challenge, you got nothing to grab. The second is external. These are through role models, coaches, mentors. This goes back to the statement of the people you surround yourself with. I'm saying this not because I am a coach, but I've had a coach in my life for almost 25 years that I have paid to be in my life to help me see what I can't see, to grow my character, to challenge my thinking, to help me understand what my limiting beliefs are, because most of us don't know what they are. I've had a person in my life for 25 years. I've got 2 in my life right now. One that I meet with every week that's challenging me and calling me to what's inside of me, not telling me what to do. A coach's job is not to tell you what to do or how to fix it. They don't even need to know what you do, because that's not what it's about. Coaching is about getting out of you, unlocking in you the greatness that exists. And so the external is those people you surround yourself with, the coaches. One of the things I'm going to offer you, and you'll see at the end, we're just about done, is I've never done this before either, because it's hard in my time. I'm offering a free 30-minute coaching session with me. You'll bring an objective, a challenge, a problem, and in 30 minutes, I promise you, if you give yourself to the 30-minute process, I'll help you identify it, clarify it, and strategize it. 30 minutes for free. Typically, an hour coaching is about $500. I'm not saying that in anything. That's low compared to what coaches charge, right? But I want to offer you a free coaching opportunity. You're going to get a link in your follow-up email. If you guys are in the room before you leave today, let me know. I'll send you a link to my calendar. You go into my calendar, you sign up for a 30-minute spot on the spots that I have open. I'd love to help you do that. Okay, so I've not done that before, but I believe in it greatly. So here's the last thing I want to tell you that Angela Duckworth talks about, and this is the key to building grit. This is the most important thing. It's called the hard thing rule. There's no notes in your stuff on this one. You can just take your own notes, but this is what it says. The hard thing rule basically is a ritual where every single day you do the hard thing. She believes you don't grow by doing comfortable things. You grow and get stronger by stepping outside of your comfort zone into the growth zone. Growth happens in discomfort. Growth happens in tension. Beautiful music is made in tension. A guitar string. A lax guitar string doesn't play music. You have to have the right amount of tension. And when you get the right amount of tension, it sounds beautiful. Tension is not a bad thing. outside of your comfort zone is not a bad thing. That's when you step into your growth zone. But it takes risk. It takes risk. You've got to be willing to step there. But what's the greatest thing that happens if nothing happens? You're right back where you were. But what if you step out and everything changes? Would it be worth it? Absolutely. But we're so afraid to step that we're missing the opportunities and the growth that's right in front of us. So that's the last tool that I would say is do the hard thing every day. Find something hard and do it. Eleanor Roosevelt said this. She said, do one thing every day that scares you. Ask yourself what you can do today that's going to challenge you. Every day is an opportunity to perform one small act of bravery. Every day you have the opportunity to be brave. It doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be huge. The world doesn't have to know it. You'll know it. And that act of bravery has the potential to change the course of your life, your job, your career, your future. So as we finish, we've got just a couple minutes, so we'll end on time. I just want to make sure that you write down your takeaway. Every time I get together, any training I do, I talk about three things. Learn something. How many of you learned something today? Did you learn something? So here's the thing about learning something. How are you going to apply it and live it? You haven't learned it if you don't live what you're learning. It's just more knowledge. Who needs more knowledge? I don't. I mean, wait, oh yeah, no. I need to act on the knowledge I have currently. There's way more knowledge in here than there is action in my life. I mean, that's just the truth. So if you learn something, how are you going to live it? And then the third thing that helps us to actualize it is who you're going to share it with. Learn something every day. Seek to live that thing you learned, apply it, and then give it away. How will you lead in that information? Okay? All right. So here's the plug for December, just so you know, December 14th. We're going to talk about finishing strong in 2021 so we can start stronger in 2022. I'm going to talk about the 5 R's to finishing strong. I'm going to give you a quick process that you can do before the end of the year to look back, see where you are, and vision where you want to go as you come into the new year. This is not about New Year's resolutions. I don't believe in them because we don't keep them anyways. So that's going to be our next Transformational Leadership series here in this room. We will have a limited number. And remember, the jolly friend is going to visit us. If you want to see the jolly old man, listen, you're not going to want to miss this. Trust me. If you're from this area, you will not want to miss it. What?
It disappeared.
Did it stop?
I don't know what happened.
Did I lose you? Are you still on, Melinda? It went off. Okay. We must hit 1 o'clock. So for those of you guys that are still in the room, we've got that. December 6th will be another opportunity, Success Wheel. This is going to talk about greater influence, impact, and income for 2022, how to maximize who you are and what you do. If you need a SHRM credit, please let us know. And then the last thing I talked about is the free 30-minute coaching. Let me know today. I'll send you the link. You'll get it tomorrow in the follow-up email. So those guys online, I'm sorry. But for all of you, thank you for being here. Thanks for your time today. I hope you're walking away with some benefit and value for you as you finish this year with grit. And if you got any questions or any comments, or you want to work through that grit inventory because you didn't understand it, let me know and I'll help you. All right.